The German AI on its own encircled more than 50 Soviet divisions. Russia's cooked, boys.
The new Hearts of Iron 4 expansion is here. It's massive, one of the biggest ones we received to date. But what if I told you that its most impactful change has remained under the radar of most players? If you want to find what is, for me, the most significant change to Hearts of Iron since its inception, you have to paradoxically look at a development diary called Small Features here. One of the developers is talking about the changes that are coming to AI and how it behaves in Gotterdammerung, specifically a concept called AI force concentration. But what is this concept and why is it so important? Well, if you've played Hearts of Iron 4 for long enough, especially in single player, you will know that the AI is not very inventive. When it comes to warfare, it treats the game as a simulation of World War I rather than World War II. It tries to advance equally across the front line, with no attempts of concentrating its hardest hitting and fastest divisions, break through and encircle the enemy. In that way, it is very predictable and very easily defeated if you have any notion of how to play this game. Now, AI force concentration promises to change that, and I decided to run some tests. To be honest, the results blew me away. So here's what I did in my quest to understand if the HOI4 AI is finally getting good. I decided to spy on it, my methodology playing as Afghanistan, the reverse Switzerland of Asia, to see how Barbarossa unfolds before and after the new expansion. Before the invasion, I tagged to Germany to do a little Wehrmacht inspection. What I discovered about Germany's tank divisions was, well, let's just say that even Italy would have had questions. Pre-patch, the AI was proudly fielding 8 to 11 light tank divisions, which wouldn't exactly cause Stalin to tremble in fear. So I decided to help. I remade German tank templates to 30 width and blessed Germany with 2 full medium tank armies, or 48 divisions. I also added enough equipment in reserves so the AI could replace all the tanks it would inevitably run into a river. Okay, enough explanations, let's get to the tests. This is the first one I did on the pre-expansion patch with the 2 armies added. The war just kicked off and I am checking the Eastern Front for tank division concentrations. At certain spots on the German-Soviet border, we do see 2 to 4 tank divisions in a single province. But keep in mind, no German forces are deployed in Hungary and Romania at the moment. And we did add 48 tank divisions, so nothing too impressive so far. Right off the bat, we see that even on the old patch, there are some encirclements happening here. However, it's debatable whether the German AI intends to encircle the Soviets or if the pockets formed are largely due to the shape of the initial front line and the geography of the front. Now, I quickly want to explain how I'm tracking all of this. For every test conducted, I am giving the Germans 1 year in which they can do their damage, and at the end of it, we will measure their success with a few trackers. Number 1 would be how many casualties are inflicted and sustained, a sort of K2D ratio on a macro basis. I consider this the best indication of how effectively the AI uses the tanks I gave it. We will also compare the number of divisions for Germany and the Soviets before and after this 1 year period for all tests. Furthermore, I will keep a very rough approximation of how many encirclements are made and how many divisions are destroyed in said encirclements. Lastly, we will also take a look at how much territory is taken. Although, when you give more tank troops to the AI, it tends to conquer more territory by default, since these divisions are faster and have higher attack values. So, Test 1 started on the 10th of July 1941 and ended exactly a year later. The territorial gains of the Wehrmacht are quite similar to real life, with Leningrad taken, a grinding war of attrition near Moscow, and an offensive in southern Russia near Stalingrad in the summer of 42. The German army started with around 250 divisions and is now with 383, while the Soviets had about 300 and ended with 250. In total, the German army completed around 8 encirclements and destroyed about 35 divisions, achieving a rather miserable KD ratio of 0.84. It was so bad that I ran a second test where I didn't add any divisions to Germany, which resulted in the Germans achieving a much better KD ratio of about 0.96, although the territorial gains were not that big. What's interesting is that in both cases, the number of encirclements and divisions destroyed in said encirclements was about the same, which means that me adding better and more tank divisions to the German AI actually made it perform worse. Okay, boyos, let me show you where the nectar is. What we're seeing here is Test 3, which is again Germany with 48 tank divisions added, but this time we are on the new Hearts of Iron 4 DLC. As the war starts, a quick check of the tank division concentration on the front line reveals a surprise. On the old patch, we mostly saw 1 to 2 divisions per province, with the highest concentration being 4 tank divisions in one tile in a single part of the front. The difference with the new DLC is that we have not 1 or 2, but 3 separate tiles where we see 7 tank divisions stacked together. Whether this is maximizing frontage efficiency is a separate question, but the visible change is that the AI is keeping its mobile hard hitters close together. Another point that sticks out in the time-lapse is the movement of the AI. Its advances aren't as linear. We notice many more breaches of the front line, so these armored stacks are doing a good job of punching through. A pocket is again formed in the Baltic, but we also see a massive hole being created to the south of Minsk. Smaller encirclements are being created left and right, but the best is yet to come. While we're checking out the latest small envelopment, a much bigger one forms just north of it. This one is quite impressive, with around 22 divisions being trapped, which is almost the size of a full army. Soon after, we witness another big envelopment that traps 25 divisions, and on the right side, we see that the Soviet front is completely broken for a moment. There are no divisions east of the river to stop any potential advance. It's quite satisfying to finally see proper blitzkrieg warfare 8 years after the release of this game. And you don't really need to be an expert to notice how vastly different are the movements of the German army in the latest update. By late July, the central part of the Wehrmacht is not too far away from Moscow, and while their lightning pace won't be sustained, they are clearly doing better than before. Now, it's also worth pointing out that in the current patch, Germany started Barbarossa in mid-April, as opposed to mid-July before the expansion. In fact, on the old patch, Germany started the war in mid-September if left on its own, so I had to interfere and make it choose the war focus 70 days earlier. Still, we are giving the AI exactly 1 year to do its thing, which is the best solution I came up with to minimize the influence of timing and weather. In early September, we have Leningrad, our first major city falling, and in late autumn, the Germans have completely cut off the oil fields of the Caucasus and are also wrapping it up in the far north. The freezing winter brings some respite to the battered Russians, but at this point, the conquest of the East is more or less complete. Fast forward to April 18th, and these authoritarian giants have been duking it out for a year. Let's see what's the damage. This time out, the Germans have suffered 2 million in casualties from the Soviets, while Stalin's forces have tragically lost more than 3.2 million soldiers, 2.8 of which at the hands of the Germans. Germany started the war with around 290 divisions, but has now snowballed to a whopping 424, while the 300-plus division Red Army has been mauled down to 210. It is obvious that there is a massive difference in terms of combat performance when it comes to tanks before and after the new expansion. The KD ratio of the Germans with the tanks pre-patch was 0.86, while now it has shot up to a respectable 1.4. The most staggering improvements are the number of encirclements and the total divisions in them. This time out, we're noticing 17 encirclements and around 105 divisions destroyed in them, which is about 3 times higher compared to the old patch. Now, this is not the end of the video because I've saved the best bit for last, namely, what is the AI capable of doing on its own without me meddling with its division count and composition. As you can see, on their own, the Germans constructed a total of 290 divisions, only around 13 of which were tanks and motorized infantry. However, even with lower capabilities, the AI pulled off one of the biggest encirclements I've ever seen. Now, I want to keep the video short, so we won't go through the entire time lapse, but I will show you this highlight and the results of the test. I've fast forwarded to September, and we're seeing the future formation of a cauldron to the east of the Pripyat marshes. This was the first point at which I thought, whoa, this is wild, and upon closer inspection, I saw that the pocket contained what appeared to be around 45 divisions, or about 2 armies. At this point, I got hyped, wrote a post about it, and decided to make this video. Later, as the pocket was closing, I decided to take another look, and it turned out to be even bigger than expected. On second inspection, the divisions trapped were 55, which is insane. I mean, I can't even recall the last time I surrounded so many divisions, and there are not that many players capable of doing this. Yet now, the computer is doing it on its own without any player interference. What's kind of sneaky about it is that the Germans waited for quite a while before attacking to make sure this Soviet stack is starved out. The encirclement started in October of 41, but it was only in February of 42 when Germany decided to close it. And of course, I can't help but mention that the AI achieved a KD ratio of 1.3 on its own, which is almost the same as the AI that received 48 strong tank divisions from me. Again, the test with fewer tanks didn't push nearly as much into the Soviet Union, but that's to be expected. Now, before we wrap up, a bit of context and understanding of what all of this means are very necessary. While the test results are impressive, this is AI versus AI here. If you are a good player, you still can probably win without too much trouble. Also, I suspect AI force concentration causes some of the strange bugs present in the first patch of the new expansion. For example, while waiting for Barbarossa, I kept tabs on the German-French War in 1940. On 2 separate occasions, the French concentrated 80% of their army on the Maginot, which meant that when Germany attacked through Belgium, there was nobody to meet them. So they capped France quite easily. We are undoubtedly going to encounter such problems in the early days, but I am hopeful that a hotfix or two will make things better. A further inspection of the dev diary about this mechanic reveals that AIFC is only good when your AI opponent attacks. In other words, it still doesn't have a clue how to properly defend by keeping divisions in reserve, although the devs spoke about possibly including such an improvement in the future. Lastly, at present, the AI cannot detect any force concentrations on the player side, meaning that with enough forces, you can probably counter-encircle it quite easily. Despite all of these caveats, I am quite optimistic, which is probably the first time I am saying that with regard to Hearts of Iron 4. This is the first big step in turning this game from a boring World War I style grind to a proper World War II simulation. If AI force concentration becomes even better, then increasing the game difficulty could be achieved by throttling AI capabilities rather than giving stat penalties to the player and bonuses to their computer opponents. In my opinion, this is huge and cannot be understated. Lastly, think of all the mods this mechanic will improve, so if you want a proper challenge, soon you will be able to have it. Hearts of Iron 4 single player isn't about to become great again, it's about to become great for the first time. If you want this to happen, make an account on the Paradox forums, thank the developers working on this, and encourage them to continue in the same direction. Thanks for watching, partner. If you want to see more videos from me, you know what to do.